In the sun-drenched expanse of the great grasslands, where the wind whispered ancient secrets through the tall, swaying blades, lived a rabbit named Pip. Pip wasn't the biggest or the fastest rabbit in his warren, but what he lacked in size, he more than made up for in wit. His mind was as quick as a flash flood, always bubbling with clever ideas and cunning plans. He saw the world not just as it was, but as a chessboard of possibilities. High above, soaring on the thermal currents, was the undisputed king of the sky, an eagle named Talon. Talon was a magnificent creature, a feathered monarch with eyes that could spot a trembling leaf from a mile away and talons as sharp as obsidian daggers. His shadow was a sign of impending doom for the small creatures of the prairie. Every animal knew that once you were in Talon's sights, escape was nearly impossible. His reputation was legendary, a story whispered in burrows and nests to warn the young. One bright morning, as Pip was enjoying the sweet taste of morning dew on clover leaves, a dark shadow fell over him. He froze, his heart thumping like a drum against his ribs. He didn't even need to look up. He knew. It was Talon, circling with lethal grace, preparing to strike. Panic flared in Pip's chest, a cold, icy dread. He could run, but Talon was faster. He could hide, but the prairie offered little cover. Most rabbits in this situation would have simply accepted their fate. But Pip was not most rabbits. As his mind raced, an audacious idea, a tiny spark of defiance, began to glow. Why run from the predator when you could outsmart him? He looked around frantically. A short distance away lay a large, gnarled log, hollowed out by time and termites. It wasn't a perfect hiding spot, but it was his only chance. With a burst of speed he didn't know he possessed, Pip darted towards the log, a brown blur against the green landscape. Talon, amused by the rabbit's futile attempt to escape, let out a piercing shriek that echoed across the plains. He adjusted his flight path, tilting his massive wings to descend in a deadly spiral. He watched as the tiny rabbit scrambled into the dark opening of the log. A foolish move, Talon thought. The rabbit had just trapped himself. Talon landed with a soft thud beside the log, his golden eyes fixed on the entrance. He could hear the rabbit's frantic breathing inside. "Come out, little one." Talon's voice was a low, rumbling threat. "You can't hide in there forever. The end is the same whether you come out now or later." Inside the dark, damp log, Pip's mind was a whirlwind. He could feel the eagle's immense presence just outside. He had to think, and think fast. "Oh, mighty Talon," Pip called out, his voice trembling just enough to sound convincing. "I know I can't escape you. You are the greatest hunter in all the land. But I must ask for one final favor before you have your meal." Talon was intrigued. A rabbit begging for a favor? This was a new one. His pride swelled. What favor could a rabbit possibly ask of me? He scoffed, his curiosity getting the better of him. "It is said," Pip began, his voice growing a little stronger, "that you are not only the swiftest and sharpest-eyed hunter, but also the strongest. They say your strength is so great, you could lift this very log and toss it across the field." Talon preened, his feathers ruffling with arrogance. "They say correctly, rabbit. I could splinter this log with one squeeze of my talons if I wished." "Oh, I do not doubt it," Pip exclaimed quickly. "But my friends, they always said the wind was stronger. They said even you, the great Talon, could not stand against the mighty prairie wind if it truly decided to blow." "I bet them you could. I told them you were stronger than any gust or gale." Talon fell silent. His pride, his greatest strength, was also his greatest weakness. To be compared to the wind and found wanting was an insult he could not bear. He had never been challenged like this before, especially not by his dinner. "The wind?" Talon screeched, his voice laced with indignation. "The wind is nothing but air. I fly upon it. I command it. I will show you what true strength is, little rabbit." "Oh, thank you, mighty Talon," Pip cried from inside the log. To prove my friends wrong would be the finest way to end my days. All you have to do is hold your ground right here when the next great gust comes. Don't let it move you an inch. Show them all that Talon is mightier than the wind itself." Talon, blinded by his own vanity, puffed out his chest. "A foolish challenge, but one I accept. I will stand here, and no force on this earth will move me. Prepare to witness my power." He dug his formidable talons deep into the soft earth, anchoring himself firmly beside the log's entrance. He spread his massive wings, bracing himself for a wind that wasn't coming, a perfect statue of arrogance. This was the moment Pip had been waiting for. The log had another opening, a smaller, hidden hole on the opposite side, partially obscured by weeds and grass. While Talon was distracted, staring into the sky, posturing for an imaginary audience, Pip squeezed silently out of the back exit. He didn't make a sound. He crept away, low to the ground, using every tuft of grass and every small dip in the terrain as cover. He moved with a stealth he had never practiced, his heart still pounding, but now with a thrill of adrenaline, not just fear. He put as much distance as he could between himself and the proud eagle, melting back into the landscape he called home. Talon stood there for a long, long time. He waited, his muscles tensed, his eyes scanning the horizon for the great wind his challenger had spoken of. The sun climbed higher in the sky. The day grew warmer. Other animals scurried by, casting confused glances at the magnificent eagle who stood frozen like a monument to himself. Finally, his patience wore thin. A seed of doubt began to sprout in his mind. "Rabbit?" he called, his voice losing some of its earlier confidence. There was only silence. "Rabbit, the wind is afraid to face me. You can come out now." Still nothing. Annoyed and feeling slightly foolish, Talon peered into the log. It was empty. He hopped to the other side and saw the second hole, the escape route. A wave of fury and humiliation washed over him. He had been tricked by a tiny, insignificant rabbit. He let out a scream of pure rage that sent birds scattering for miles. He had been so focused on proving his strength that he had completely overlooked the rabbit's cunning. His pride had been a cage, and Pip had simply slipped through the bars. From that day on, the story of Pip, the rabbit who outsmarted the eagle, spread like wildfire across the grasslands. The smaller animals found a new hero, a symbol of hope. The story was a reminder that brute strength isn't everything, that a quick mind could be the sharpest weapon of all. And as for Pip, he lived a long and happy life. He was respected by all, not for his speed or his size, but for the cleverness that had saved him. He taught the younger rabbits that fear was a powerful force, but it didn't have to paralyze you. It could be channeled, used to sharpen your senses and fuel your mind. Talon, on the other hand, was never quite the same. He was still the king of the sky, still a formidable hunter. But now, there was a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. Every time he swooped down on a rabbit, a sliver of doubt would enter his mind. He would remember the empty log, the silent mockery of his own pride, and the humbling lesson he learned that day. Never underestimate your opponent, no matter how small they seem. The cleverest mind, not the strongest talon, often wins the day. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more tales of wit and wisdom. We'll see you in the next video.